You're watching Single Process with Joe and Bob. We've created this video series to help you navigate the difficult process of divorce, and we hope this helps you on your journey. Our episode today is on infidelity. So Bob, this has been a cause for divorce and marriages breaking up forever, but today with all the websites, the dating websites, Ashley Madison,
Facebook,
people
how many people are
reconnecting.
reconnecting on Facebook and having affairs? So I feel like this is probably the biggest reason marriages are breaking up.
But people are getting caught more too because it's on your phone, you're texting,
And people are stupid.
Yeah, they really are.
So luckily we have with us today Dr. Tammy Nelson. Dr. Tammy Nelson is a PhD and a board-certified sexologist. Love that. She's written multiple books and has over 25 years of experience. Most recently, The New Monogamy, Redefining Your Relationship After Infidelity. Tammy, thank you for being with
Tammy,
us.
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Tammy.
Dr. Tammy, yes. So tell us what people are going through as they discover infidelity and how it impacts a marriage.
How many people are having affairs?
A lot.
Really? Why are people having affairs? Why don't you just end a marriage and go on to the next relationship?
Well, I mean, there's as many reasons people cheat as there are people. So there's not just one reason people have an affair, 3 reasons people have an affair. Affairs are illicit, they're dangerous, they're forbidden, so they're exciting. And if you've been married for a while and it gets boring, then it makes sense that people would look for some excitement. I think the idea of open marriage today and why it's so popular is because people are kind of tired of the lying and the dishonesty and the cheating.
I talked to my now husband about the idea of an open marriage, and even though we were both kind of open to it, I think the concern was the kids and society and how other people's would view it. That's just not very acceptable in today's society.
Well, maybe in our generation.
Yeah.
But the younger generation coming up, the people, I mean, with all due respect, the people that are younger than us.
Really? They're all sleeping with everybody.
No, it's not really about sex for them. It's really about integrity. Because a lot of their parents, 50% of their parents got divorced.
Really?
Or they cheated. So they grew up with this idea of lying and hiding. And they're like, you know what, we're not going to do that.
So does an affair have to end a marriage? Is that, just it once you find out? Is it irreparable or can you go back?
You know what? Affairs are either wake up or break up.
Wake up or break up. So wake up to what's wrong with your marriage or a marriage ender.
A lot of times people can say, this affair might have been the best thing that could have happened to us. Because now we're talking. Maybe we were on a path that was really going nowhere. Now we can really reevaluate our monogamy and start a whole new vision of our marriage. Maybe we were overly merged or too distant or we were fighting too much. It can really wake up a relationship like nothing else.
How many affairs turn into second marriages and last?
Do you mean how many people cheat and end up with the person they cheated with?
Yeah.
Only like 7%.
Wow.
7%.
So how do you make that assessment immediately? I find out someone's having an affair. What do I do? Like, do I need to decide today? Am I leaving or staying? Or should you wait and cool off?
Well, I think if you're the one having the affair, then, it feels exciting in the beginning. There's like this new relationship energy and it can feel really intriguing because you don't have to do the person's laundry and you don't have to pick up their socks. And, there's a lot in that first, rush of love or sexual attraction or whatever that feels so great.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't make any decisions based on that because most affairs don't last longer than a year.
Okay, so what's the process for working through an affair?
Well, first, working through an affair and ending an affair are 2 different things.
Okay.
So if you're going to work through your relationship, first you have to end the affair.
Okay.
But I think, if you end the affair with integrity, it shows the person that you're with that you can actually go on in your marriage with integrity. I mean, I think you have to do it with respect for the person that you're cheating with because that person's an actual person. You've actually messed with someone's life. So I think first you have to end the affair and you have to take responsibility for what you did.
Okay.
If you told that person you love them, if you had sex with them, if you made promises to them, like I'm going to leave my spouse,
Right.
you got to sort of close that off. And say, I appreciate our time together. I care about you, but
I appreciate all those things you did to me in the bedroom that night.
maybe.
Yeah.
But if you really want to stay with your partner, you have to show some respect for what you did, not only to the person you cheated with, but to your partner.
What if you've been cheated on?
Yeah, what if you've been cheated on? What do you do then?
Then you got to make some decisions.
That's a painful place to be.
It's brutal. It's brutal. So you have to make a decision about, can you create a whole new relationship with your partner going forward? Because, frankly, this is the bad news. Okay, once there's been an affair, your marriage is over. Like, it's done. Because you made a commitment to each other, a monogamy agreement that said you weren't going to cheat.
Okay.
So you knew once you stepped out that it was over.
Okay.
So now you have a choice. Your partner cheats on you, and you now decide, do you want to have a new marriage with the same person going forward? Because you can't go back. If you go back, you're going to end up in the same place. A lot of people say, oh, I wish we could be like we used to be, and maybe if we go to therapy, we can heal, and we can be,
but I would also
in that
think
new place.
A lot of women don't want to deal with it and address this, so they just overlook it or they deny it. I shouldn't say women. I think couples don't want to face what that really means. So they ignore it. They allow an affair.
That's a whole nother conversation. We probably need longer time for it. It's called collusion. But some people are just really conflict avoidant and they don't want to fight. Yeah. So they kind of say things like, why are we talking about this now? Let's work on this later.
But I've heard that's almost a strategy. Like, some people, they don't want to have sex with their husband anymore. So they're like, fine, if he wants to have an affair with somebody.
Well, those people aren't getting divorced, and this is a show on divorce. So I'm going to bring us back into line and say...
You're really talking about how an affair can work. not when it doesn't work.
Not when it doesn't work.
Three reasons to make an affair work.
So let's say your marriage is ending because of the affair. It's an exit affair. One or both of you want out.
Right.
It's a painful process.
Right.
What do you recommend people do, and how do they cope with this?
Well, it's interesting because I think if you have an exit affair, I call them a can opener. It's like a way to get out. One or both of you cheats because you know that the relationship has to end.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have the guts to do it, or maybe you want your partner to do it because you can't do it.
Right.
And so then you know that it's really over.
Okay.
Because once you cross that line, that monogamy agreement, then you can't go back. You can't unring the bell.
But I've seen so many women struggle in divorce with trust issues because of the affair, just trusting the process of divorce, trusting them as a co-parent. Is this something therapy can help with? What are your resources here?
Yeah. I think the most devastating thing about an affair is that if you've been cheated on, then you have a really long road to hoe to learn to trust your own intuition again. Because your intuition has somehow betrayed you.
Your gut check is off.
Yeah, you trusted this person, and maybe you kind of knew that the affair was going on, but you didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
It was too complicated, or maybe you didn't know at all, and it was a shock. And then where was your intuition then? And so, as women, we really rely on our intuition. We need it to survive in the world. And so when it betrays you, it's not so much about trusting the other person. It's about learning to trust yourself
again.
And so how do you move on? To trust them with the kids on the weekends that you don't have them, to trust them that they're not going to, hurt you financially. All that, you really need your intuition to know.
That's a good point.
It's really hard. So it's about discerning the difference between your intuition and your fear.
Okay.
And that's like your work. It has nothing to do with your partner.
So we spoke to somebody out the other night whose wife had an affair, and he wanted to tell the kids. He felt like if the kids knew, they would have an appreciation for why the marriage had broken up.
Right.
And we argued strongly, don't do it.
I told him to do it.
No, you did not.
Okay. What do you advise?
You know
people to
what?
share
I
with the
really
kids?
believe that in our culture today, it's time to have more intentional divorce. You can complete your marriage. It's not necessarily a failure. You don't have to rewrite the whole history of your marriage and destroy your children and, rape each other financially and destroy everyone who knows you. Sometimes marriages come to an end.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get to have another one. We live longer than ever. We're still beautiful at middle age. Like, sometimes we get a couple good marriages.
Well, I've heard there's actually 3 marriages in all of us, right? There's the young marriage, there's the family marriage, and then there's the companionship marriage.
Right. Margaret Mead was an anthropologist, and she said the first one's for sex, the second one's for kids, and the third one's for companionship. I think you can have all those with the same person.
Okay.
Or they can be separate people.
That's an interesting comment.
But don't involve the kids. Don't drag the kids into it. Why?
Why? Don't
Right.
make the kids responsible for your drama.
Okay.
The kids need their own life, and they need their own relationship with both parents. And so, would you tell them about your sex life? Would you tell them about...
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
We did a segment on that.
I also think it's important to let viewers know that there's a vision phase at the end of this. There is recovery, and there is being able to start a new life, and that's an opportunity too.
Yes.
It's an option and an opportunity. So there's the crisis when you first discover it or when it's first disclosed. And then there's the insight phase of recovery when you kind of figure out, like, how did we get here? You know, what the heck happened that we ended up in this place? Because this was not what I was envisioning when we got married. And then there's the vision phase where you start to create this new idea of your future. Like,
great.
what are we going to do? What am I going to do? How are we going to co-parent but as separate people?
Yeah.
You know, you need to create that vision in your mind and maybe even make a list, like, what are the most important things in my new life going forward?
No, so my takeaway, obviously, I mean, infidelity, bad idea. The takeaway can be a positive ramp for moving forward.
Absolutely.
In current relationship, reborn, or with someone else?
I think
Did I say
that's
that right?
terrific.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tammy, thank
Dr.
you
Tammy.
so much.
You can pick up her book online. Also, for more information on this topic and others, visit us at singleprocess.me.